Hello friends, I'm so glad you're back because in today's video we are going to continue our discussion on platforms, author platforms, and specifically dive into like how much is enough time to spend on my platform. Is this an all day everyday thing? Is this a full-time job? Is one post a week sufficient? Should I plan on one blog post a month? How much is enough, right? Because you want to make sure that while you are becoming visible to the world, to your readers in particular, that you don't completely drown, that you don't overcommit, that you don't start showing up in 15 different places every single day and fade away because it's too much. So we want to make sure that we are very mindfully planning how you are going to appear upon this platform that you are building and how you are going to present yourself to the world. So let's dive in. Two big keys that I want you to take away from this is number one, consistency. Consistency is huge when you are building a platform. Consistency builds trust. When your readers expect you to show up because you've shown up every single Tuesday or whatever it is, every day, they start trusting that you're going to be there. They start relying on the content that you're sharing or the message that you're sharing or the value that you're providing some other way. When there is consistency, there is something to rely upon, and you appear to be a very trustworthy and reliable person. Those are good things to have, especially when we're talking about being an author and building that trust with your readers. If they see that you're already creating this kind of trust factor with them even before they read your book, it's almost inherently building that trust factor for your book. And when you start talking about your book, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm getting sold to now. Like now she's just all about promotion. No, they already trust you. They already know you. They are getting to connect with you as a human who is true to her word. So don't make promises you can't keep. If you know that every Wednesday morning is the thing that you have to do somewhere else, don't promise to show up somewhere else on Wednesday morning. For me, I had to ask myself, is it realistic for me to create 5 videos a week or more? I had to ask myself that before I started making promises. And then I had to plan out how I'm going to perform in accordance with the things that I've promised. So the key is consistency. You want to be consistent about when, where, how, what, all of the things. You want to be consistent with all of that. If I just told you to come hang out in my group and I would post random stuff once in a while, that doesn't tell you that I'm a very consistent, reliable person that you can trust for quality content on a particular subject matter, right? So be clear about what you are promising, what they should expect. Make sure in your communication that you're clearly saying, okay, I'm going to be back tomorrow, or I'm going to provide this. You don't have to map out your entire month or anything and give that to them in advance, but when you are in a more active role, for example, if you're running your Facebook group or something, right? It's going to be different than if you're just participating elsewhere. But if you are participating elsewhere, consistency still is key. If they see that you're showing up and you're providing value and that you are just out there trying to connect and it's not just drop it in once a week to mention your book, they will start hearing you. They will start seeing you. You will become more visible. That is what we want. So be consistent, be clear. And the second key is permission. Make sure you are not out there blasting people with stuff that they didn't give you permission to blast them with. So in particular, think about if you have a website and you're starting to gather subscribers so that you can tell them what's going on. If you tell them that your newsletter is about topic A and you start blasting them about topic B, will they feel like you violated their permission? Probably. Did you randomly get a bunch of emails from your friend or something and throw them on your email list without getting permission. Obviously, that's a pretty big violation of trust, right? So this, permission is about making sure that you are not overstepping boundaries. And you can do things like, hey, I'm in this other Facebook group or something. I use Facebook groups because it's easy to kind of grasp because that's the context that we're in right now, but this applies widely. But you're in this group of people, you're talking about these things. Ask their permission to share about your book. Ask them permission. Would you give me permission to just share with you about my book project and why I'm writing it? So they don't feel like you're coming out of left field with this awkward little self-promotion. You're sharing it for a specific reason, not necessarily just for promotion, although that is kind of the byproduct. That doesn't have to be your only motivation, though. When you're out there connecting and sharing, you want to come at it from a value-based perspective. What am I giving, while also being open to receive? And if I don't receive, that's okay, but I'm making community, I'm making connection. So give them an opportunity to grant you permission to share and promote. Hey, would you like me to get back to you when my book is about to be published? Would you like to be added to my advanced copy mailing list or whatever, right? Would you like me to let you know when the hard copy books are available? I'd love to give you an autographed copy, whatever. Ask for permission, and people will be okay saying yes or no. And most of the time, people are like, yeah, that's great. I would love to hear that, because they appreciate being asked. They appreciate being given the opportunity to have a say in this versus how we're all blasted with ads every which way we look, right? We don't give permission for that necessarily. So consistency and permission is really more about respect and making sure that you come at them with a sense of respect for their boundaries and what they prefer. And one other thing that you want to keep in mind when talking about, how much is enough, or how much should I be giving, or how should I be giving, and all of that, is your behavior. Your behavior, meaning how you connect and how much, will vary based on the place, the location that you are connecting within. So think about it like this. Your connections, your posts and the way you engage with people is going to be different on something like Twitter, where it's probably mostly a bunch of strangers. You're starting to make some connections, or you might have a few personal friends or something. They're just a bunch of strangers you mutually follow or whatever, versus your personal blog subscribers. They've given you that permission to specifically speak to them about those topics and to hear about what you're promoting, what you're offering, what you have going on in your business or with your book, right? They're giving you permission already. So your method of communicating, your method of connection, your method of becoming visible in both places will not be the same. You may be able to give a lot more to your subscribers. You may be able to tell them about this book process and ask them for things and all of this, promote and, more frequently or in more depth than maybe on Twitter. So think about how you're showing up in those particular places when you're planning on how to show up. You may even have, by the way, like different categories of subscribers. I know there is a lovely lady in our group who has a newsletter who has like two different distinct groups. She's a writer, so she's writing about writing, but she's also has subscribers about the particular topic of her memoir. So if you kind of have this site that's overlapping a little bit, you can segment your subscribers, and that also will dictate how you show up to those particular groups. So think of the needs of the people on the other end of your content, your connections, your messaging, the way you're showing up. What do they need? What do they enjoy? What do they appreciate? What don't they want? All of those things you need to think about. And like I mentioned earlier, if you are running a Facebook group versus participating in someone else's, your behavior will be very different. I don't go post in other groups 5 videos a week, right? I do that in my group because I want to show up to you. I want to show up for my group members, and I want to give them the value that I've promised to give them and create that consistency and that level of trust. But I'm showing up in other groups in other ways, giving value, just giving feedback, mirroring back what I'm seeing, or, giving them tips as I know it, or just congratulating people on doing a great job. This is about community. We're all in this together, right? So just because I'm out there as a businesswoman doesn't mean I'm out there as a businesswoman everywhere. I'm out there as Danielle in a lot of areas. I'm out there as Danielle the coach in some areas. I'm out there as Danielle the book lover in other areas, right? So I kind of show up as different facets of who I am, or different ways because of the location. So that being said, and keeping those keys in mind, start by getting really serious with yourself, like very, very serious, based in reality, okay? I don't want to hear about you biting off more than you can chew, or I will have to wag my finger at you. But get serious about how much you really can commit to every day. I want you to think of this as like a daily thing. You might not post every day or submit a blog, publish a blog post every day or whatever your actual platform is, but think about it every day, or do some planning every day. And if you're like, okay, maybe I don't have Monday through Friday, or maybe I only have Saturday and Sunday to do planning, or whatever it is, but get really realistic about what it is that you can fit into your current schedule. And also consider the fact that you may still be writing your book. We have to talk about that. We'll talk about that next. But consider what you may be able to commit to every day, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 1 minute here and there to just go out and engage and connect. You don't want to show up 1 minute this week, 45 minutes next week, skip a whole week. It should not be sporadic. It needs to be more regular. So get real about what regular time you have available to commit. Maybe it's just Monday and Friday. Maybe it's just Saturday and Sunday. That's okay. Whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with that, but make sure it's on a regular, consistent basis. And think about like when each day your readers might be more active, or you have the capacity to do something. What time can you literally block into your calendar? Some platforms will give you analytics, insights on when people are more on their sites, like Facebook will. For my group, I can see like when the most people make comments or do likes on posts and stuff like that. But if you don't have something to rely on already, you can kind of Google it, like, hey, when are most people on Facebook, whatever. They might be able to give you some information. Hey, 3 p.m. is the best time of day, or 11 a.m. or whatever it is, just to give you an idea of whether or not you may be able to connect with more people within those few minutes that you have. Or, for example, if you have a website, check out Google Analytics. Maybe there's some insights you can gain on when people are opening up your, maybe your email campaign provider, opening up your emails, or visiting your website, or reading your blog posts. Maybe they are most likely doing it on every Sunday, even though you're posting on every Thursday, right? So maybe think about things like that, or keep your eye as you start getting out there and connecting on, what is working for your readers and what works for you. So start with identifying the buckets of time and specifically when, and maybe you have a particular bucket of time for each platform. Remember, not platform, but place. I want you to try to narrow it down to 2 to start with. So maybe you're on Facebook Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and maybe you're on the other place Tuesday and Thursday, or whatever, right? So make a plan that encompasses everything, and then list out some topics that you can and want to talk about, and maybe something that your readers will enjoy, more specific than just my book, right? What about your book? What about your life is related to your book? Or what value can you give to people in particular locations? This also, obviously, if you're going to do a blog, you're going to want to have a bit more of a robust plan. What blog am I writing this week, or whatever. You may have a rolling like title list that you just kind of pick from. That's totally fine. But if you're out there just kind of posting and promoting on Facebook or Twitter or something, more kind of general social media in that category, just list out some topics that you like to share. Maybe it's cool quotes from books that you love. Who cares? That's fine. You just need to kind of get out there and start becoming visible, and you will eventually find your voice. You will eventually find your style. You will eventually feel more like yourself out there and start feeling like you understand how to connect with people in a way that brings them to you in a light that kind of sheds you as this person in the context of the book that you're writing. You know, this person who's familiar with these topics, or this woman who's talking about this stuff. So think about what you can get out there and talk about. And it doesn't have to be educational or like, you know, something where you're teaching someone something. It can just be personal. It can be, like I said in another video, I really love physical activity. I love fitness. So I post a lot about that on my personal page. And now, you know, people have come to ask me like, well, where's your recent muscle picture? And but they're just being drawn to who I am, and they're enjoying that facet of who I am. So this can be something, maybe you love horses or dogs or whatever it is, and that's not necessarily in your book, but feel free to share things like that. Just start showing up more, even if it feels completely unrelated to your book. If it's related to you, it's related to your memoir. That's my take on it. So think about the places that not only can you like make posts or write from or like put stuff out there, but think about the places where you can like go hang out and just connect and like be one of the crowd, and in not trying to gain attention, just giving a little bit. You know, I'm in a bunch of other groups where I like to hop in and just see what people are doing. Like, oh, okay, you just published your memoir. Cool. Like, congratulations. Let me check that out. Whatever it is. But give yourself a little time limit on that, because it's real easy to get sucked into, especially on Facebook. So maybe you have 10 minutes a day for that, and you have 10 minutes a day for your other stuff, right? Whatever it is. Give yourself some time limits to stick within, but also so that you are able to commit to showing up during that time. Now, one last note on this I want to talk about. Try to remember, if you're in this phase, right, that you're still drafting your book, you're still writing your book, and that should probably feel like it's your main priority. So you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, Danielle, how am I supposed to like write and edit and do all the things and try to hit my goals and get this thing published and like research publishers and all the stuff? And now you're telling me like I have to go hang out on social media for 4 hours a week? Maybe. Right? Maybe, if you have the capacity for that, but not really. So maybe you feel like you are slowly going to dip your toe into this platform pool, and you're just going to commit to like 3 posts a week on your personal page. That's it. I'm happy with that. That's fine. Just be consistent and start doing things. Just start, okay? You can always build upon this momentum. And as you continue writing, you'll think of things like, oh, I can share this with my peeps. And you go jump on there like, oh my gosh, I just wrote this chapter and it was so much fun. Or, wow, I'm having a really hard day, and talk about how, you know, challenging writing is, or whatever, right? As you get into that process. But writing is still a very big focus. And you'll hear people, this will be like a little debate sometimes you'll see, like, no, don't worry about your platform before it's written, because you need to focus on writing. I totally agree, you need to focus on your writing, but you also do want to try to build your platform while, you know, the book is in process, before the book is published. I actually have an author right now that I'm working with. I'm helping her craft her book proposal. And she's like almost done with it. And then she took this little pivot to start this platform thing where she's doing this super extensive newsletter every week. And all of a sudden I didn't hear from her for weeks. Well, she got sucked into the newsletter. She got sucked into the platform. So, you know, we've had conversations like, well, where are you with the writing? Are you trying to do this to promote your book? Are you taking a step back from your book and you're okay with that? I don't want you to lose momentum on your book, of course, but platform is something to consider. So that being said, think about that. Can you commit to your writing in the way you're committing to your writing, or the way you need to commit to it in order to hit your goals, and not lose momentum and not totally step away from it and feel completely disconnected? Because then what are you building a platform for if you never get your book written? So think about that when you're trying to plan on how much is enough. And don't be, don't feel like it's not enough if you only can dip your toe in for a couple minutes every other day or whatever it is, okay? Whatever you do, it's enough. Just do it consistently. Do what you say you're going to do and show up in a value-based way with the goal of just becoming more visible than you are currently. That's it. So I will continue this discussion. Please return for my next video. I'll be here, I promise. We'll see you then.